Hello. Welcome to a video on Playstar Speedrun Strats. I'm assuming that most people watching this video will have a basic understanding of how the bounty works and how it's structured. I will go over it very briefly at the beginning and outline where times can be saved and then go into the details of how it works. Let's get right into it. So I like to divide the entire bounty into 4 separate phases. The first phase is the canister phase, where we grab the Thrax toxin from inside the cave and then come back out. The second phase is the defense phase, where we sit there and take a nap for 3 minutes. And the third phase is the drone. So getting to the drone and then getting the drone to the boil. The fourth phase is boil phase, and I like to split boil phase into sub phases as well, which is the first one when you're first getting the infested wave to level 20 to 25%, and then 50%, 75%, and then 99% for the hemocyte spawns. And then the hemocytes themselves I also segment as mini phases, but all of those are pretty much the same with the exception of the first infested spawn wave. The first time save that we'll have is getting the canister as fast as possible. This can be done through utilizing oobs, which are out of bounds, and the savior decoy augment for the decoy subsume, which you will be putting on Nova as part of the build, which I will be showing later. As for the defense section, there's not much to do here. This is mainly for the Nova to go and set up some of the later requirements and stuff needed for the drone and for the boil, and for the Wisp to go prepare as well, and for everyone else it's just a bit of downtime to chill and drink some water and eat some food, and then you move on to the next phase. So by the drone phase, the Nova should have gotten all of the portals set up for the instant drone, and everyone will be going to the spot to force spawn the drone as well. At this point, the moment the drone starts, it should be immediately at the boil or very, very close, and that's another time save here. The next bit for the boil, the time saves here are kind of wonky because it heavily requires you to have decent RNG for the hemocyte, because sometimes it can spawn the infested pods early, sometimes it can spawn them late, and also it really depends on where he spits out the infested. There are certain spawns for them, but there are some that he doesn't always use and some that are used more frequently. Also, if you have, like, for example, a thumper, or if the hemocyte decides not to open up, then you're kind of fucked sometimes, and you just have to sit there and wait. So the best you can hope for is a decent first 25%, which is just killing as many of the normal infested as fast as possible, and then having the hemocytes die almost instantly, and then having the days for the infested after the hemocyte spawn to be almost done instantly as well. The instant infested phases are usually more reliable than the instant hemocyte ones. But at the end of the day, it still depends on RNG, whether your pods are destroyed, whether they were in the way of something, or if something else came and destroyed them as well. I'm just going to quickly go over the builds, with Nova being first because she is the most important frame and the one that pretty much is non-negotiable to run. You run a Speedva with a as much duration as you can possibly fit on the build while still keeping 235 range. Having the more efficiency you have, the better, because you're going to be throwing your portals around a lot as you're moving around. And the most important augment is the Savior Decoy with the Decoy Subsume. The Decoy Subsume is from Loki, and you replace her second ability because her second ability is useless.
Sometimes Ordis likes to assume he knows nothing.
Fuck off, Ordis.
Nobody can learn what they think they already know.
Escape Velocity is to give you a speed boost when you go through your wormhole. This is going to be useful in case you are not running a Volt on your team, and it's also just nice to have more speed as well. Constitution, Fleeting Expertise, Overextended, Message, Continuity, Stretch, it's all the usual mods for duration, range, and then efficiency. Prime Sure-Footed is on there because like Hemocite is a bitch, and so are all the other regular infested as well. They like to throw you around a lot. If you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, you can always run something else like Adaptation or whatever floats your boat, honestly. As long as you're not increasing your strength, that's totally fine. Arcane Velocity is for the secondary, which is going to be Pyrana Prime. I will show that shortly. Arcane Resistance is there because as Nova, you're going to be clipping inside of the boil to armor strip the Hemocite and to speed it up as early as possible. This is not a requirement, but it will make your life a lot easier, especially if your Wisp is a little on the weaker side. Showing off some of the Tau shards, I have triple red Tau Forged shards with ability strength. Sorry, not strength, ability duration. And that just pushes my duration higher up so that I'm sitting at a more comfortable spot with my portals. So I have more leeway when I'm doing the portal timing for the drones. The other two are Amber Archon Shards. I have Casting Speed and Parkour Velocity. These are quality of life. If you wanted to, you could put 5 Crimson Ability Duration Shards on there. Or you could stick on 1 Casting Speed or 1 Parkour Velocity, depending on what you feel like. These are more flexible. But it is advised to have at a minimum 168% duration around that, and to don't go below 190 range. Other than that, you can kind of flex around with the build a bit. Obviously, the longer the duration, the better. With Pyrana Prime, you're going to be running Blast. Corrosive is not needed because we're going to be armor stripping the Hemocite, and Blast is just added damage. Galvanized Diffusion is on here mainly because you're going to be killing some of the infested as well sometimes. So you'll be able to stack that at least once or twice, which is already better than the base multi-shot mod. I have a Riven on here. The Rivens are not needed. This is a quality of life that allows me to kill the Hemocite faster. I also really like the Pyrana, so I got a Riven for it, but it's not necessary. You can run something like Lethal Torrent in its place. Prime Expel Infested also is not necessary. You can use the base one. Obviously, if you're not using the Prime versions, you'll lose DPS. Same with all of these other Prime mods as well. You're going to be losing DPS if you don't have them, but it'll still work fine. Secondary Deadhead is mainly there for the weapon recoil, and so is Reflex Draw. You could put on... Actually, sorry, you cannot put on the other mod if you're running this setup, or if you're running a Riven, because you do not have enough capacity, even with everything 4 mud. If you had more capacity, you would be able to run a Stabilizer instead, but you'd have to forma the Itzal Strat, I believe. You are not showing up. Sorry, it's not Stabilizer, it's Steady Hand for the pistols. Steady Hand. Actually, you don't. Yeah. For stripping, we're going to be using the Vastilok. You could also use the Sarpa or any of the other gun blades as well with a weaker effect. Redeemer and the Stropha are not made for armor stripping, but gunblades, if you do not have any of the other gunblades, they are an alternative. You can also use a Warframe ability if you wanted to, something like Necrosis Terrify. Those are other options, but by far, Vastilok physically armor stripping it yourself is a lot easier. You'll run Shattering Impact, and then the rest of these mods are just purely attack speed. I have it built for a half attack speed, half heavy attack speed, but if you wanted to, you can just stick straight attack speed on it and use the light attacks. This is personal preference completely. I like having the option of being able to use both. The Zenuric tree is what I recommend for Nova because none of the other ones really matter too much. If you wanted to, you could also use Unairu to armor strip as well, or use whatever other tree is your preference. I like Zenuric because I can get free energy without having to spam as many energy pads. But with my efficiency at 160%, it's not needed per se, but it's a nice cushion. For your Sentinel, you can have any Sentinel works. I run specifically Worm Prime because I enjoy the negate mod a lot. You mainly want to have Tenacious Bond and Reinforced Bond on there. Reinforced Bond will give you more fire rate. This is a permanent 60% increase to your fire rate. And Tenacious Bond will give you more crit if your companion's crit chance is over 50%. In order to get that, you have to equip the Volcax and then run critical delay on it in order to get that higher critical chance. If you do not have this weapon and you cannot run Tenacious Bond, feel free to just run any other survival mod, accelerated deflection, enhanced vitality, anything else works, as long as you can keep your pet alive. Otherwise, it's not a big deal. And then for your Archwing, you are going to be running the Itzal purely for Cosmic Crush if you desire the Hemocyte drops. If you do not, then you can run whatever the hell you want. So for Wisp, we're going to be running any regular Wisp build works, honestly. And again, you're going to be stacking a shit ton of strength. I use my normal Wisp build because I don't have anything else built. It has Staros Strike on there because it's like a test build I was running. You could put Roar, you could put Eclipse, you could put whatever the hell you wanted on there. A good choice if you're just looking for any subsume to run is Energized Munitions if you're running Pyrana Prime, or if you're running like something like the Felarks, which is also a good different weapon to use. You just stack a shit ton of ability strength on her, so everything I have on here is straight for just strength, 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 and more strength. Range you want to keep at a regular amount because you're going to be using Breach Search to help clear the enemies if you're depending on what team comp you're running, if you'll be helping clear enemies as well, so you kind of need that, the range. And then efficiency does not matter because it's Wisp. And then for your duration, that does not matter that much as well, mainly because your modes will already have a decently high amount of lasting time. A Mars Hatred can be switched out for Fused Reservoir if you decide if you like the augment better. Otherwise, most of these mods are necessary, except for Umbral Fiber. This can be switched out for anything else that you want as well if you do not want to use the Umbral Fiber on Wisp, or if you do not have one. Reefer Spite is not necessary as well. You can run whatever augment you wanted. Corrosive Armor. Most of these builds are fairly flexible in what you run. You could run Pistol Amp, as long as you're not running something like Power Donation, which would completely screw your Nova over. You will be perfectly fine. With Arcanes, I run Mold Augmented because more ability strength. You could run Arcane Velocity as well, or Arcane... I'm running Blessing because this was my normal build. I would probably switch that out for Velocity. I could also subsume Energized Munitions on there if I wanted to, but I don't usually run Wisp on my teams, so my Wisp is not specifically built out for Plague Star. It's more of a... I'm moving my hands around it, you can't see. It's more of a Jack of all trades kind of build. I do have 3 Crimson ability strength shards on her, but you'll probably, if you have them, be running quintuple quintuple Tau Forged on her because you just want as much strength on Wisp as possible. The weapons are pretty much the same. You can kind of equip whatever you want to help, just as long as you're helping kill enemies. That's kind of just your job, is to CC with Breach Surge, kill enemies. If you have Total Eclipse, you'll be buffing as well, or Roar. So just make sure you keep all your buffs up and keep everything up. So after Wisp, the build starts to diversify a bit more. There are 3 other frames that you can run. You can run Volt, Mirage, or Mag. Volt will help your Hemocyte phases if you're not running somebody like Meg, because the reload speed, the speed for the drone, and the speed of your, I believe he does increase fire rate as well. So it's just a nice quality of life to have him, and he will also be the one flying the canister to the drone 4 spot location if you have a Volt there. Mirage is used for killing the Hemocyte phases very fast, the infested waves in between. You will be using her 4th ability for that. I'll showcase the build shortly. And then Meg is purely there to kill the Hemocyte. She does nothing else. So with Volt first, my Volt is immensely overkill because this is also my Eidolon Volt. My Plague Star build is just a shit ton of strength and duration, and then a little bit of range so that I can give my teammates speed. I run Shock Trooper because more damage. You could, if you could fit it on there, run Total Eclipse as well, if you're not running a Mirage or something. And you'll be holding your shield up, so you just place the shield down, pick it up, and then you can just have the extra damage from the shield as well as Shock Trooper. If you can, probably subsume off the 4th ability for something more useful, because it's you don't want to be using the 4th ability because you don't want to be breaking the infested spawn pods. Again, most of these mods are pretty flexible. You don't need to double Umbral Forma him. You can always switch out Fiber for something else. Prime Sure-Footed, again, is also a... I know not everyone has it, so if you don't, you can always run Power Drift or whatever your heart desires. Velocity, Resistance, always good mods to have for Plague Star. They're just kind of staple because I'm running Pyrana Prime. If you're not running Pyrana Prime, you'll have to switch the Arcanes out for something else. Or more specifically, Velocity for something else if you're running a different weapon. For Mirage's build, I do not have all of the Forma for it. So her Plague Star build is missing a mod. What would usually go here is Augur Reach, because it will increase her range up to 265. I have Preparation on here because it's nice to have it. You don't need it. You could just do without it and just put on the Augur Reach. I just like Preparation because why not? If I wanted to, I could probably switch it out for Prime Sure-Footed. This is an alternative if you have the mod as well and you want to slot it in. It will fit perfectly fine in the build as well. Preparation, Prime Sure-Footed, Augur Reach, kind of your personal preference. I liked having the max energy at max because I could use Eclipse immediately, along with Total Eclipse, which you will be running. You mainly are here for the Prism. The extra damage is not bad, but everyone should already be able to kill the Hemocyte on their own. Or you'll be bringing a Mag, in which case you'll purely be focused on wiping the map. And the reason why you use Mirage is because her Prism does not destroy the spawn pods. It only kills the enemies. So out of all of the abilities, hers is the best one by far for clearing out massive waves of enemies in between the Hemocyte phases. I run Energize because you're going to be spamming your 4 a lot. That's also why you don't really want to tank your efficiency that much. And you want to have your duration up as well. Velocity is on there because Prime. And then Meg is the other last member of the squad. She is a Hemocyte killing machine. Her 2nd ability allows her to instantly delete the Hemocyte when they open their faces. You're going to want around 190% range. The higher the better. Your strength does not matter too much, but having it higher does increase your damage multiplier. and having your duration at 156 will guarantee you to at least be able to do a decent amount. To have it on the Hemo site for a decent amount before it disappears. Magnetized Discharge is so that you can recast it, Magnetize to explode it. It also gives Magnetize a passively more range, which is kind of needed because otherwise it might not reach the Hemo site. I run Adaptation and Prime Sure-Footed just for survivability, because she doesn't have a lot going for her in terms of that. She just has to sit there and let the infested whale on her. I run Multi-Efficiency to hopefully get more ability duration, and then Energize because I'm casting Magnetize a lot. You can always run, again, the flex mods for the other weapons, but you're not going to be running Pyrana Prime on Mag. You could, but there's a better weapon for her, which was recommended by a friend, and it is the AkBronco Prime, and this is built for raw damage. Pure raw damage. This is here because viral is nice, 240% viral. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much just pure damage. Blast, again, because of the previously stated reason. Prime Expel Infested. Quick Draw is there for the reload speed because it only has 8 shots, and the reload speed is complete and utter asinine if you don't have reload speed. And then it's just damage. More damage. So the theme with Hemosite is multi-shot, multi-shot, multi-shot. The more multi-shot you have, the better, and the higher your damage is, the better. Obviously, you don't want to be stacking damage mods because of damage equation, but usually shotguns work really well. If you don't have a good shotgun, you could always run something like the Celtra or anything with like a high fire rate, decently high damage as well. You'll be taking a lot longer to kill it, and it won't really be like very fast either. You might have to do Hema like the phases a couple of times before he dies. So by far, Pyrana Prime takes the king for killing Hemosite. The first 2 caves that I'll be clipping into will use the same area. It is going to be this cave. This is cave number 1, and this is cave number 2. This camp right here. This door. The clips for both of those caves will be over here. Straight to the left of this doorway, there is a tree trunk. If you walk into the tree trunk, you'll be stuck on a ledge for a little bit. If you aim for this V here, and then go down towards where the grass and the rocks meet, place a portal, jump, and slide into it, you clip right under. Watch out for the water here. This will oob you and send you straight back out. It'll knock you out of this area. For the first cave, which is right here, there's a lock pin that you can place down. Lock pin is right here. And if you melee straight down, you'll appear inside a hallway right next to the Thrax Toxin. If you have the Savior Decoy active, you can teleport up to this area, and there are 2 turrets that will usually spawn here and here that should be able to kill you pretty fast. As a backup alternative, you can clip out of the cave in 2 different places. This spot is harder when you're holding a pistol because it's not as accurate, but you want to aim for this black spot. Just look to the left of this little node here, and bullet jump through. And then afterwards, you can cast your portal straight up and jump through it, and you'll be in the sky, outside. The other method is a rock to the right of the Thrax Toxin. This rock right here, you just stand on top of it and look up. There is this giant oval piece. If you look to the left of it, there is a small triangle rock that you can see here. And if you aim just for the center of it, this one right here, aim for the center of it, portal, and bullet jump through, you can instantly Archwing. I'm going to demonstrate very quickly how to put this lock pin down. If you hit the no-fly zone and slowly float down and move forward a little bit, you'll be able to land outside the map and see this ledge here. If you walk to the edge of the ledge, look up and place a portal, you'll be able to follow your purple line in your Archwing and place the lock pin as close as you can to that while you're still in Archwing. That's the easiest way to get that lock pin down. Alternatively, you can also just put the lock pin outside too. That is a alternative. For the second cave, we're going to reuse the same skiff. Same oob. Except this time, the lock pin is gone, so we need to orient ourselves upwards. And usually I can see the lock pin here because I placed it earlier. This is a lock pin you have to place somewhat blind. That right there is the second cave. Now, usually if you're going at full speed from Cetus, none of this will load in. You'll have to go at this blind and hope you hit the correct area. It shouldn't be too hard once you get some practice in of knowing which spot to look at to fly while you're looking at the outside grass. You want to aim for this area here-ish, and I have this lock pin here just to help mark while I'm when I clip in the first time so that I know which direction to head in. But essentially, this whole area is a no-fly zone, so you need to be very careful. Otherwise, if you fall down the map, then you end up losing time. The place that you want to look for is this spot right here, which will allow you to clip straight inside to where the Thrax Toxin is in here. Now, usually, your savior decoy will be active, so once you go and grab it, you can just immediately die. If that is not an option for you, once you grab the Thrax Toxin, you can come back this way and go back 2 caves to this spot right here. Line yourself up with either this side of the ramp or this side of the ramp. And if you look towards here, you should see this V. If you look at this dot, flip straight through, you can port upwards, jump through the port, and then immediately Archwing out. That's how you get out of the second cave. For the third cave, you're going to want to come to the camp right here on the map. It's right next to a teleport point all the way up in the corner here. The way to clip into this camp, if you look under this console, right next to this, where it meets the ground, this corner right here, and you slide into the portal, you'll clip right through, and make sure you fly to the left of this rock. The right side is a no-fly zone. And if you loop around, it is the farthest room on the left. I will show you again. If you slide through, you'll see all of the rooms here in an order. Do not fly into any of these. These are all dead ends. If you get stuck in there, you have to use /unstuck. This last room is where the Thrax Toxin is. Once you grab it, you have 2 options here. You have Savior Decoy active. You can try to run for a turret. Alternatively, you can clip back out and fly. To clip back out, you want to look for this V right here. This nook, aim slightly higher, and just bullet jump through, and you can immediately Archwing and go back. Alternatively, if you want to die with Savior Decoy, the best way is to line yourself up with this rock right here and aim for this spot to the right of this canister right here. You want to aim for a spot to the right as far as you can into that corridor, which will put you out all the way over here down this hallway. You'll want to portal again, and this will put you right next to a ramp, which you want to portal again. Aim for this top cylindrical area, and there is a turret to your right. Turrets are the most reliable way to die with Savior Decoy because enemy spawns are not always consistent. Moving on to the fourth cave. This one is by far the one that has the least amount of time saves, because this clip is somewhat inconsistent, and well, the clip itself is not very inconsistent. It's more the time save is very inconsistent, because the actual run for this cave itself, which is this cave right here, it's a pretty linear cave. It's not bad. The only issue is getting through the elevator and going down, which sometimes can take a decent amount of time. What I do is I come here to this tree right here. There's a teleport point right next to it as well. This is this one right here. And if you stand right in front of the tree and just aim towards where it touches the ground and slide straight through, and you want to fly up and around here, whereas you want to look for this pillar. And once you get to this point, and melee straight down. In order to find this point, I will show you how to place the lock pin there afterwards, but you just essentially walk straight up. You're looking for this giant pillar here, right under it. You'll see a yellow glow here. You're looking for where, if you can see in the dark here, there are 3 lines pointing together. You want to aim for the center of that, glide through, and you're inside. Thrax Toxin is right here. In order to clip back out the same way, stand on this area right here, and you aim for this area here, these black dots. You just bullet jump through, and you're back out the way you came. Now, the way I placed my lock pin up there was, again, I just stood like right here, portaled, that is the wrong button, sir. I portaled straight up, and I just followed the purple line. So once you get the clip out from here normally, you could place the portal, and then do the lock pin, and then that way you will know where to immediately bullet jump out. That's how you get in and out of this cave. For the last cave, which is the far right cave, there's a specific enemy camp you need to go to. Far right cave I'm talking about is this one right here. This is the cave entrance. It has a long tunnel all the way down to an open camping area. Instead of going all the way here, you want to go to a Grenier camp, which is just up the hill right here. It's in this corner, right up here. And let me just kill everyone really quickly. Oh, no accuracy. The spot you want to aim for, these barrels to the left of it, straight down the center of this camp, probably right in the middle here, where this thing and this tent pole in the middle. Slide in, and you can melee backwards. I wish I placed my lock pin in a better area, but you're aiming for this rock right here. And if you stand right on this edge of this rock, the Thrax Toxin is right there, and you can portal straight in. And after you portal straight in here, I just killed the turret here, but you can use Save Your Decoy on this turret right here and go back immediately. This spawn is by far the fastest to both clip in and clip out of as well, because that lock pin right there, very easily placeable. If you come inside the camp, you look for this ramp, back up to about here or so. Anywhere here works, really. This one is extremely forgiving. Just aim into the air, jump through, and you can Archwing immediately. Everywhere out here is pretty free. This one is the easiest to clip in and out of by far, and even if you fuck up your Save Your Decoy, you can still fly back extremely fast. So after the canisters, the spot that you want to come back to is this spot right here. This is where you want to go to force spawn the defense location. And you will want to place your decoy around this area. Go do your clips, go to grab your canister. Either come back with Save Your Decoy by dying to it. So if I just... Okay, he's not going to attack me. But if I die to an enemy, Save Your Decoy Augment will bring me back to the spot where my decoy is. And I'll be invulnerable for a little bit. Or you can fly straight back here and ignore the decoy completely, depending on which method is faster. Sometimes enemies won't spawn, in which case that is a judgment you will have to make for yourself, depending on the run, because that is RNG dependent. After you come back here, you want to immediately open your escape menu, open Nightwave, and close it. This is called Nightwave Skip. This skips a lot of cutscenes and works literally anywhere, including Deimos as well for the bounties. Nightwave Skip is a blessing because this cutscene is like a minute long of just talking and waiting. Once you skip that with Nightwave, if your entire party was sitting on this spot, the defense target should spawn on this bunker, this vault right here. Afterwards, you kind of do your usual thing. You just defend the target. While the target is being defended, as Nova, you place the toxin down, and then you immediately leave because you have stuff to set up. As a Nova, the first thing you want to do is you want to go to Portal, sorry, the Boil, and place down your Necramech. You want to aim towards this lock pin, which will be a location that you will place down later. And I will show the location for it as well. That, sometimes there is an Iridite spawn there. If there's an Iridite node there, you can aim for that as well. And I line up my Necramech's arm with the lock pin. So the red wire where it connects to the gun, I aim it along the lock pin. And then I can leave my Necramech there. And I fly to the spot where the drone will spawn. The drone will spawn right here on this rock. This is where the drone spawns in. And as the Nova, you sit here and you wait. In order to set up the portals, I generally look for this horseshoe shape right here, this one. Pretty easy to find. And you want to line yourself up with this black dot right here. You want to line the horseshoe up so that the bottom is parallel to the bottom of your monitor, or as much as you can, and then get your dot, your crosshair, as close as you can to that black dot. And then afterwards, you wait for the defense target to hit around 10 seconds, depending on how long the duration of your portal is. The lower your duration is, the closer you have to cut the timing. You want to put your first portal on this V right here between the bushes, slightly down. I hit the wrong button, my bad. V right here, slightly down. portal. You want to move back a little bit, aim for the next one, which is this tiny little ledge here, and place your next portal. It should land right about on the edge there, and then you back up again. This one I freehand a little. I usually aim for slightly under my lock pin. And then I back up to my lock pin, I back up a little, and then you can portal straight to your Necramech. You son of a bitch. So, okay. If I were to retry portaling again, the Necramech blocks the portal. So the drone will stop immediately right here on the spot where the drone immediately sends to the sky. The spots for these lock pins, this one, I fairly freehanded it, but you want to look for this kind of center dirt patch and just place it near this area here. This one is slightly flexible as long as you're not too far to the right to the point where you cannot see your Necramech anymore. So something like this, if you're over here, that is incorrect. You want to be able to see the head of your Necramech so that you can send a port immediately over. The other lock pin is on this shelf right here. Put it almost on the tippy edge. As long as you can see it from this rock right here, you'll be fine. It's that ledge right there. And the spot after you place all of these portals down, since you place them down at 10 seconds, the moment you place the last portal down, the bounty should be finished. And the spot you have to go to is a spot called Africa. The reason it's called Africa is because on the big map, it looks like Africa. This is known as Africa spawn for Eidolons. And the entire space that is all this area here, I will use my pistol for this. This entire area here is all good for the drone spawn. As long as everyone is in this area here, the drone will spawn at that location guaranteed every time. And then afterwards, the person who is bringing the canister will fly there immediately and put the canister in. If you are host and you are fast enough, Nova should always be host, so they always have to do the Nightwave skips. The moment everyone is here, you can open up your menu and Nightwave skip as well. That'll force the drone to spawn faster if your group is fast enough. Whoever is bringing the canister, if it is a Volt, they can fly here with Volt speed extremely fast. If it is not a Volt, they can use the teleport point here by hitting the teleport early and holding X on the toxin canister. So if they were at the location, if there were 3 seconds left, they would teleport ahead of time. And then they will hold X. They should grab it the moment they teleport, or right before they teleport. And then they can just fly over pretty easily. If you do not have a Volt, or you don't have enough speed, that teleport point is the easiest way to get over here as fast as possible. After teleporting the drone, you can leave from this spot the moment the marker appears. The objective marker for the drone will appear. Whoever is bringing the canister will immediately fly over. The drone should immediately teleport over. And that's the end of drone phase. Immediately skips to boil phase. When the boil comes out, as the host, you will be able to see particles, pods that come out with infested. The infested spots, the spots where the infested can land is right here and right here. Those are the ones that you as Nova, you have to worry about. Everything else, the other party members will take care of. There's a spawn like over here, right here, and then the rest are very close to this central area, which everyone else will be in the central area, so they will take care of it. As Nova, your job is to just start taking care of those until you see the pods drop down. When the pods drop down, your goal is to come to this spot right here. You're looking for this hole. Right next to this rock. This is where you will be clipping into the boil. As the Wisp, if your team has a Wisp, they should be placing one of their motes down here. And then their other mote will either be right here on this rock, or right here in the center of the field. If they are running Fused Reservoir, they can only place down 2. If they are not, they can either ignore, they have the option to ignore the blue mote and place down 3 instead. So 3 Vitality, 3 Haste. And depending on the strength of your Wisp, you may need to run either, I am currently running Magus Elevate, so as a way to regain my HP, and I am also running Magus Anomaly. Magus Anomaly allows me to pull the Hemosite when I transfer back into my Warframe. The spot you want to aim for, generally speaking, on the boil is right where the boil and the ground meet. Didn't work out. Yeah, sometimes if you respawn here, it clips you a little bit, but you want to aim for where the grass and the boil meet. I can't clip into it right now because I do not have the bounty currently active, so the boil is actually a completely solid object. But that is the spot you want to reach. Afterwards, when you're inside, you want to keep an eye on the Hemosite timer. And you want to place down your 4 right before the Hemosite spawns, and then immediately armor strip it, and pull it out with Magus Anomaly. If you have someone else on your team running Magus Anomaly, then you do not have to worry about the pulling. Otherwise, you'll have to do the entire operation on your own, and just chain pull it out, essentially. You can, once you get around to this area, you can just kind of hover around this place a bit, make sure that it's behind you, and then you can start pulling it out to this area here. If you melee, if you hit the melee button while you're an operator, it transfers you back to your frame a lot faster than if you were to hit 5. So that's why you're hearing my gunblade go off, because I'm hitting the melee. If the Hemosite, while you're pulling it, decides to just get stuck here and not walk farther, that means that the Hemosite is going to just sit on this location and open up its mouth here. So that's the thing you'll have to see ahead of time. It happens somewhat rarely, but I have had it happen to me a couple times in a few runs. So that is the thing you have to keep an eye out for. And then as a Nova, you just have to make sure you are staying careful, trying to not die as much as possible. The best thing to do when you come out with your operator is to just immediately go into Archwing and pick one of the heads. You should be talking with your team ahead of time to see which head you want to go for, and you just blast that head the moment it opens. And then if you kill the Hemosite in 1 round, immediately go back to the Wisp Motes, that should be right here, and you repeat. You do this 4 times, making sure you keep an eye on the infested percentage on the top left. If it's a little slow, you can help them clear it as well. You can sit right here, help them clear some of the infested, and then when it reaches a certain percentage, you can portal into the boil. That's not what I wanted to do. You can portal into the boil, and then be able to strip it again and repeat. There we go. And then that's pretty much it. Once all of the Hemosites die, you can just hit Cosmic Crush, hit it twice if the Hemosites decide to spawn in different places or walk to different places. This should pull in all of the loot from the Hemosites, and then you just go straight back to the door. If you do not have Archwing speed intrinsics, or if you're just slow on the Archwing, or for some reason if you have really high ping, sometimes you can't get into your Archwing, you can always teleport back to Cetus and then just walk into the door. One of the players who is not the Nova should have their Necramech placed right here so that the door stays open. Oh, whatever. So now if I go far away and I come back, the door stays open and you can teleport right in, going straight back very, very fast. And that will conclude my guide on Plaguestar. Sorry this was a little rushed. This is a project I randomly decided to work on, and just out of the blue, since I got my PC back, I want to celebrate and make a video and get started on some of this stuff. This was a very rushed video because Plaguestar only has a day left, and I just wanted to get some of this information out. So thank you for coming along if you stuck around for this long, and I hope this was at least informative, if a bit dry. Thank you for listening to me talk, and I will now let you go. Have a good day.